After such a quiet period where we had no power news, 50 Cent and Stars hit us like a ton of bricks twice in 2 days. First, we got the announcement that they're going to be bringing out a new spin-off show called Power Origins, centered around a young Ghost and Tommy. And now, we've got the news that this will be the final chapter of Power Book 2 Ghost. You heard it correctly, this is the final season of Ghost, which will be split into 2 parts. The first part will begin on June the 7th, and the second part will begin on September the 6th, and the early noise is it will be 20 episodes split into 2 parts, so 10 episodes each. So in essence, even though we aren't getting a season 5 of Ghost, we are getting 20 episodes this year. Now, what does it mean for the future of Ghost? What does it mean for characters like Tariq St. Patrick, Kane, Brayden, and the rest of the Tejadas? Where do they end all of these character storylines? Who dies? Who goes to prison? Does anybody make it out the other end and get another spin-off of their own? I think because it is the final season, the game has completely changed, the chessboard has flipped upside down, and any of the theories or guesses that we had previously, we may as well throw them in the bin, because they're going to hit us like they've never done before. It's going to be a roller coaster of emotions, it's going to be sad but exciting at the same time, but there is a lot that we need to get through in this breakdown. So in this video, we're going to be run through why they're ending Power Book 2 Ghost, but why I believe it's not the end for a few characters. We're going to run through the season description, and then we're going to break down some of the teaser scenes, which are very vague by the way. They've kept them very mysterious and black and white, where they have us kind of questioning the entire storyline and what's going to happen because of this announcement. But let's start with why they're actually ending Ghost Season 4. Now, these are some quotes from Jeffrey Hirsch, who is the CEO of Starz, who basically said that he's planning to contain costs by developing new shows rather than sustaining a series for longer, because they can get more expensive as the season goes by. Previously, we've had Courtney Kemp actually saying something very similar, that Ghost is a very expensive show to run, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end. This explosive season of Ghost is a fitting crescendo in a decade of immensely popular franchise. Fans will not be disappointed. While this marks the conclusion of one chapter, our commitment to the Power universe endures with many compelling storylines on the horizon. So that's basically telling us that they may be ending this chapter with Power Book 2 Ghost, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end. It does seem like they've got some plans to potentially spin it off with other characters getting their own show, and where they kind of follow the journey somewhere else. Who knows, some may even cross over to Chicago on Force, some may even stay in New York. It really kind of depends on how they finish Tariq's storyline, how do they end the storyline for the Tejadas, what happens with Effie and Brayden. We all have to keep our eyes peeled on how they end all these character chapters, or do they keep their storylines open? Now, having said all of that, let's get into some details for Season 4 in terms of the synopsis. Season 4 will find Tariq St. Patrick and Brayden Weston against the world, as they form new alliances and find their way back into the game. But when Brayden starts flirting with a new, reckless lifestyle, Tariq wonders if there really is room for 2 at the top. Monet may have finally met her marker, but she has no idea who's behind it. With Davis MacLean, he's suspended pending disbarment in the wake of his brother's death, fully embraces the criminal side of his enterprise and finds himself working for both sides. His loyalty will depend on whichever one will benefit him the most. Faced with reality that life can end in just a few ways, which we all know is only death or jail, Effie buckles down on getting out and securing a legit future at Stanford. After last season's betrayal, Diana and Drew question their roles in the game and the family business, while Kane sees an opportunity to level up when he starts working for Noma. But with Noma, she's gonna fight to establish her business in the States. She also tries to keep a close eye on her bratty daughter, Anya Covington, who is now on Tariq and Brayden's radar. With the fate of his future in the game and his family at the forefront, Tariq must reconcile his past to rise to the top of the food chain and become who he needs to be to protect those he loves the most. So that is definitely a lot to take in, but it is a good job that we've got a few months to kind of let this digest and really break it down. But in short, it seems like Tariq and Brayden are going to have a lot of trust issues. They're against the world at this moment in time. They're going to find new alliances and get back into the street game, but Brayden seems like he's got other ideas. Maybe he's flirting with a reckless lifestyle that Kane used to once by hitting licks. Maybe he's getting high on his own supply, which does make him a liability. I really do believe their brotherhood and their bond is going to be tested like it's never been tested before. Especially when it comes to the bottom line. What is Tariq going to do to protect himself and his family? With Monet, it seems like she's got her back against the wall, and there is a mystery person who has her pretty much where he or she wants her to be. Could that be Michael Ealy's character, Detective Don Carter? And could she end up facing a very similar fate to what Tasha did at the end of Power, ending up in prison? With Drew and Diana, we all knew time was going to be ticking for at least one of them, but with the latest announcement, I really wouldn't be surprised if there was a bloodbath, and they both end up being taken off the chessboard, especially after the stunt they pulled. With Kane, he's an opportunist, and he's going to find a way to grow under Noma. Meanwhile, will Effie get out of the game and make it to Stanford? Because she did want to kind of join the robotics program, which costs $50,000 a semester. It's not cheap. so she does need to figure out a way to pay for it, but also kind of pull herself out of the street game, which is going to be very difficult because she's positioned herself right under Nomar. And last but not least, Davis MacLean has gone and got himself suspended, and this is something I actually questioned a very long time ago. You know, what would Davis MacLean be without the law? Power is very different for every single one of these characters, and it seems like he's going to be put in a very uncomfortable situation, but where he's going to do what he does best, survive. He's going to be looking out for number one, and playing different sides and picking what benefits him the most. But this time around the consequence really could be death or jail. But with all of that being said, let's get into some of these teaser scenes and kind of break down where we are and what we see these characters up to. We've got Tariq and Brayden somewhere in a warehouse looking on maybe at a new alliance, because the synopsis for season 4 did tease they are going to be making a new alliance. And actually one of my theories for season 4 was how Obi's family from Nigeria could be a big help for Tariq. He helped his family get green cards to come over to America, and if Obi is taken off the chessboard by Nomar for his betrayal, maybe Obi's family might feel inclined to help Tariq because they feel like they owe him for getting the green cards, and maybe they also want to get revenge for Obi, who was non-existent in this teaser. We did see Nomar, but Obi was nowhere to be seen. But with Tariq and Brayden, let's see how they deal with this new alliance, because Brayden will become a liability based on the synopsis. It does seem like Tariq might not be able to trust him like he's done before, and we all know what that means, especially because we are going into the last and final season. We really can't take anything for granted or rule out any kind of consequence or action. Now speaking of alliances, we've got Effie with Kane standing behind her, with what looks like a bodyguard on the right of them. Who they're meeting and why, who knows. It really is kind of hard to tell from this teaser. We all know that alliances are a part of the game, and Effie can certainly know how to make an impression and hold it down. But again, we don't know too much about who they're meeting and why. I'm sure the official trailer will definitely give us some more answers. But what about their relationship? With Effie, the synopsis has made it clear that she wants to leave the game and go to Stanford. With Kane, we all know he lives and dies by the street. So both of these characters are two who want very different things for their future, and that's why I don't think it will ever work in the long term. However, having said that, will Effie be able to make it out the game and go to Stanford? Who knows? Normally you guys know I say there are no happy endings on Power, but after the news that they've just hit us with, it really leaves an air of unpredictability. Maybe some characters do make it out of New York, and maybe the next spin-off is where we kind of follow their journey, but will Effie be one of them? And where do you guys see their relationship heading? With Davis MacLean, we've got him in an unfamiliar hoodie instead of his fancy expensive suits, and I do think he better get used to it because he's turned over to the other side. His brother Theo died last season. It seems like his shady and unethical practices have finally come back to bite him, but he is going to do what he can to survive. Now, one of the questions I have when it comes to Davis is, what did he get suspended for? I think we all know there's going to be a long list when it comes to Davis, from letting Tariq hear the Lauren tape to representing two conflicting clients, to stealing information from Detective Whitman, and let's be real, the list can go on so much longer, but I am intrigued to know what he got caught for, and how they end his particular chapter with it being the final season. We all know when it comes to the law he was never afraid to represent both sides, even behind their backs. We saw it very early in season 1, which was when he was representing Tasha St. Patrick, but how he was willing to save his client by giving up Tariq, all while working with Saxe behind everybody's backs. And I do pretty much expect the same when he enters the street world. He's going to be looking out for himself, and everybody who works with Davis, especially Tariq, they're going to want to watch their backs. With the Tejadas, we've got Drew and Monet at the bar, Kane suited and booted, with Diana at the church. Does that mean someone's been sent to power hell or heaven? Maybe. But both Drew and Diana do need to watch their backs this season. They made that move against Monet to take her off the chessboard, and there will be hell to pay, no doubt. That definitely is one of the big storylines for this season. Monet definitely will find out. It's just a matter of what does she do? What move does she make? We all know Drew and Diana aren't cut out to be in the game, and neither do they want to be in it. But it is too late. I do think the chickens will come home to roost for at least one of them, if not both. Now, we've also got Kane in a cage fight, which is something very different. We all know he can hold it down in a street fight, because that's what he was born to do.
I don't need any handouts. And I don't need him tied up to beat his ass.
That was foolish, risky.
Only if you don't know your win. Been stamping out like that my whole life. Been trained for it.
But the same question now goes for Kane, as it does for Drew and Diana. Where are we going to be with Kane at the end of season 4? Because he is one of the most popular characters when it comes to Ghost. So if they are kind of creating another spin-off after Ghost, then it would make sense to kind of keep some of these guys around and not have that much of a bloodbath that they had at the end of Power. But let's see which direction they decide to take Kane's character in. What will he do when he finds out about Drew and Diana's betrayal? There's his relationship with Effie, this battle with Tariq, and him wanting to seize the opportunity under Nomar, which might be vacated by Obi. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this is Tariq's Porsche, because they have got this teaser in black and white, but it does seem like it might be, so if it is, then expect 2-Bit to be around at some point in Season 4. But will it be a problem for Tariq, or could he end up becoming an ally? I think problems for Tariq are going to come thick and fast, and 2-Bit is just going to add to them. So I do wonder how Tariq will tackle this 2-Bit situation. Does he get his car back? Does he get Ghost's watch back? Will 2-Bit make it out Season 4 alive? Or will we see him come up against Kane too harder? Because I really do hope they give us this battle, 2-Bit versus Kane. Now we've also got our first official look at Detective Don Carter, and as a reminder, his character description tells us he's on a mission to avenge the death of his love, who got caught in the crossfire between two rival drug gangs. Whether that's Tariq and the Tejadas, who knows, but it does seem like he is going to be on a mission to hunt down those who were responsible. And with it being the final season, I really wouldn't be surprised if we do see a few of these characters being locked up. I can actually see Monet ending up in an orange jumpsuit, or maybe a few other characters to potentially leave the door open for cameos and appearances with whatever they do with the Power Universe in the future. So I don't think they're going to kind of close the door on every single character, but let's see what Detective Don Carter brings to Ghost Season 4. Now having said that, some will definitely be getting deleted, because we've got Tariq on Demon Time, which I do believe is from episode 1, so instantly we're going to have him on Demon Time from episode 1. We've also got him face to face with someone in a standoff yet again, and we all know what happened the last time. The last time they showed us this in a teaser, it ended up being Uncle Tommy, so I'm going to let you guys run wild with your imaginations with this one. Now last but not least, we've got Tariq standing at what looks like Club Truth, and it is quite ironic that this story is going to come full circle at a place where he ended his father, and a question I guess we should all be asking is, will he suffer the same fate? As much as many are actually rooting for Tariq, we can't actually forget what he's done, the pain that he's caused, and the lives that have been lost because of his actions. Of course, he's definitely not to blame for every single one of those in his nightmare, but he's not an innocent kid anymore. He's caused a lot of pain and suffering for those around him, and you do have to wonder what fate the writers do have in store for him. Now besides his fate, him standing in Club Truth also tells me he may not have lost his trust fund totally, because if he's at Truth, then somehow he might have managed to get it back, maybe with the help of RSJ, Simon Stern, or maybe Ghost had another stipulation in his will that he didn't know about. And that brings me over to Omari Hardwick. Can you really end Tariq's story without seeing a hallucination of Ghost? I'm hoping this is finally the moment where Tariq has accepted who he is, and where he appreciates all the efforts his father went to try and get out of the game and leave his family a legit empire. And is this where he finally sees his father? At the end of Ghost Season 4 with these 20 episodes, are we finally going to see the return of Ghost in a hallucination scene? Drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.